Hi, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lindsay Hoyt, and I am the founder and board chair here at Cornerstone Classical Academy. I want to go ahead and take this time to thank our amazing building team, Mr. Drew Carney, Mr. Bo Corbett, the Lutzes, Sally and Albert, where are you? Right over here, and Edie Wagamuth. They have spent countless hours, spent a lot of stress, as you can imagine, dealing and figuring all this out. So we are just, I'm very grateful for them. So thank you so much. Thank you. I'm also thankful for all of you being here, taking time out of the busyness of life. I know everyone is swamped, and it's not even the holidays yet. So rest, sit, put down your phones. I know it's tempting. Prepare yourself to be excited and thrilled about the vision of what I believe is to come, and it's very thrilling to me. This all started around my kitchen table when 10 of us decided that Cornerstone Classical Academy needed to exist. We've come a long way since that night. We were brainstorming about what we'd name the school, what our mission statement would be, what our vision statement would be, who would write the application, etc. Turns out it was going to be a lot of work, and we didn't even know the half of it, and we did it all over wine and Panera bread. And while I knew CCA would be incredible, the amount of blessings and joy, sorry, I always cry when I talk about my baby, this school, this school brings such joy to me and my family, and it far surpasses anything I ever expected. I'm going to talk about something a little controversial here, so just bear with me. Carline. I know. Carline is tough. I know that it's been a little bit of a shenanigans each and every day, and thank you for bearing with us. But I think I'm probably the only one here that when I see Carline, it actually puts a smile on my face, and sometimes I even tear up looking at it. This one time we had a parent information meeting where we had 3 parents showed up, and our TV wasn't working at the church we were doing it at, and so I had my little tiny laptop, and I was doing the presentation on my little tiny laptop in front of 3 parents. And so to see the line of cars out where everyone hates it, as the founder, it makes me so happy that so many families are attending, so many kids are coming, and that you are entrusting your most precious commodity, your children, to us. That is mind-blowing, and so thank you so much. The vision I've always had for this miracle school was a tuition-free prep school. The academics is number 1. And thanks to Dawn, we are doing so well. So thank you so much, Mrs. Oman. We've got to be incredible at educating our students to be free-thinking Americans and fulfill our school's mission to sharpen the minds and cultivate the hearts. After all, Thomas Jefferson, in one of my favorite TJ quotes of all times, said, "If a nation expects to be ignorant and free in a state of civilization, it expects what never was and never will be." Once the academics were established so well, then the outflow of that is just absolutely top-notch. A top-notch athletic program, music department, art, debate, dance, drama, you name it. That's what I want here. And turns out we're just a quarter of our way through only our 3rd year. Can you believe that? We're not even through our 3rd year. We're just starting our 3rd year. And while there's still work to do, I get it. I understand, Carline. I get it. It blows my mind to see the academics in action, the joy in our classrooms, our incredible athletes competing at the highest levels in our district and even state, traditions being shaped, school culture being developed, and most importantly, truth, goodness, and beauty seeping out of literally every facet of our school. The reason the founding board picked the name Cornerstone was that it means the start of a monumental building. It's literally the foundation of the foundation. All other stones will be set in reference to this stone. It determines the position of the entire structure of the building. Without this cornerstone, the building won't be built with accuracy, it won't be built with precision, and it will eventually crumble. And that's what we think about each of your students that walk through our door. Each of our students will become a monumental building, but they need the cornerstone first. We are Spartans, and the best part is that we choose to be Spartans, and the journey and the adventure is just beginning. Thank you so much. Go ahead. We're now gonna have the building team come up. Drew and Bo, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I am Bo Corbett, Drew Carney, and we are part of the building team. We already acknowledged the Lutzes as well as Edie. So we've been working on getting the upper school built in discussion, but I think first, if you may, let us introduce ourselves and why we are on the build team and what we're trying to bring to the team and to the school. So Drew, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, Drew Carney. So I've got about 25 years experience in construction and real estate development. Spent the first 10 years of my career here in town with a local design build firm. Moved on to industrial real estate development and spent about 9 years doing that. And I'm in the third phase of my career. I'm actually in the renewable energy business now. But I'll say, so we've got a daughter, a 7th grader, Bryn. She started last December, and when I toured the school, met Edie, told her what my background was. It took Edie about 15 seconds to invite me to the building team. And so, have just been trying to dedicate some time to help make sure that this project is on track. So when we get into a lot of the details, Edie's gonna have the information. My goal tonight is really to just let you know what my background is, what Bo's background is, what the process has been to get us to this point, and hopefully inspire confidence that we're on the right track and we've got a great team here to get this facility built. So.
Thank you, Drew. Appreciate it. All right, so I made notes because you are an intimidating group. I know we are peers, and yet still to be before you, take it very seriously, and I don't want to mess it up and say something silly. I probably will anyway, but I'm going to try not to. So, yes, I'm Bo Corbett. I have 20 years construction experience, split over 3 main areas, 6 years of construction oversight to include many projects, as well as a $300 million lock and dam replacement project. I've had 8 years of acquisition. Through that time, I've either administered or awarded about close to $2 billion worth of work over that time. And then now 6 years as a senior project manager for my current organization. My day job, I manage a program that's annually about $100 million a year that we do, both in construction as well as other services that support. I also was in the Army. I was a technical engineering specialist, reached the rank of staff sergeant. I also was the non-commissioned officer in charge of the 111th Engineering Brigade Design Section. Our specialty was building and designing austere military facilities for the warfighter moving north. So in 2003 and 2004, we were overseas helping the military, our warfighters get north and do what they needed to do there. And because of that, I'm also a veteran of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. I have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering as well as a master's in business administration. Another aspect of me is that I grew up very, very poor in a very, very small town in West Virginia. Why that's relevant? First off, I know what a government cheese sandwich tastes like. If anybody's ever enjoyed that experience, that's part of life. So as a child, I did have that experience, but it also taught me the true value of a dollar. And so being on this team, I take that into consideration. It's a big deal. You know, every dollar, your dollars, our dollars, it really matters. And then finally, having had that childhood experience, realizing what an amazing opportunity my children have in CCA. I mean, I did not have this opportunity in that small town in West Virginia, but they have it here, and we're taking the opportunity. And so I'm here, much like Drew, I'm a dad, got Triggs here, my other son, go to school here. And so I wanted to help any way I could to make this a success. So I'm bringing all of my experience as well in hopes that this will, will be successful and get where we need to go. So that's me. So next slide. We'll go ahead and dive in. So our goal here is not to drown you all in project management and how you run projects, but to at least skip over it, the detail of what we've been doing and how we've gotten to where we are today. So initially, these are the handful of topics that we're going to go over, starting with project management. We are both project managers, and so this is generally what we would see an industry standard of how you would approach a project like this. I think once you see it, it's pretty logical, the steps. So I'm going to go ahead and pass on. I think you already said, the point here is to instill confidence that this process is not just, we're not just winging it. It's based on close to half a century of experience here, and then the other team members coming to the table here to bring this forward. So next slide, we'll talk about project management. Speaking of this, both Drew and I, we are maybe experts in project management, but maybe not so much experts in building charter schools. So we need to find some experts. And so that's just what we did. And so in doing so, we reached out our arms, and the purpose of getting an expert, bringing in some proposals, but the purpose of getting getting an expert in charter school is to streamline the process, somebody that knows what they're doing. They're going to know how to put together those designs faster than folks that may not. We know a little bit about it, but we're not going to be nearly as efficient. They're also going to know the construction process, the design process. They're going to reduce overall costs because they're going to identify and know issues that are already out there and problems that they've seen in the past, and they're going to bring that experience forward. And they're also going to identify those issues early and provide oversight throughout the process. I'll want to go through the slide here, and then you want to talk too, or do you want to hit to that point first?
Yeah, the only thing I would just jump in here and say, when we talk about, we want competitive offers for every scope of work that's going to be performed. We want to, we're going to buy the best that the market has to offer. In this case, with the third-party project manager, I wasn't here to experience what you all experienced with, with the current school build-out. But I know it was really important for us to get someone on board that knows what they're doing. We interviewed 3 different firms, two of them local, one of them not local. So I may be jumping ahead.
No, we had 4 actually. I think if you consider, borderline.
Yeah.
3.5.
Well,
we had 3.5.
What I can tell you, we spent a lot of time interviewing the groups that we did interview, and ultimately selected PMSI, who is a charter school project management firm. And it was clear to me in the first 15 minutes of a 45-minute conversation that they were the right group. They still had to submit a proposal, competitive offers, but we got the best value with PMSI. And the types of things that they know, Bo and I understand the process, which I think is what he just referred to. But when you're in early stage, schematic design development, all these different phases of the architectural design and pricing, they were able to bring lots and lots of data to the table to help not only think about what this is going to cost, but really design it to the correct number of classrooms, the right size classrooms. We get into queuing of the car line, all of those sorts of things. But I think, on this slide, really the most important thing is that there was a thorough competitive effort to bring the right project manager on board.
Yeah, I think one of the other things is that when folks compete, that means they want to do the work. So you've got somebody on board that wants to be a part of this process. That's why they were selected. Also, the last bit here, we don't want to pass over this. 50 charter schools. I don't know about y'all, if you do anything 50 times, on that 50th time, you got it. And maybe most of us, I don't know. Sometimes there's been a few things I've done 50 times I still didn't have. And then 2 of them were here in Jacksonville. So not only is it just general experience, but it's local experience. They know how to deal with Jacksonville and build a charter school. So it's not just the 50, it's the 2 that are right here. And I think they've finished both of them. I can't remember what the status was, but I know they were working on them and had that experience. Next slide, please. Okay, due diligence. So as soon as you get going with a project, the first thing you want to know is about where you're going to build and what you're going to build and what is in the ground, what work has been done. And so we, I don't know if Bryce is here, but we went about trying to find out everything we could about the CCA property. We contacted previous owners. We had to sit down with that gentleman, and any information that they had, we tried to get that and put that in the pile for us to analyze for our project management group that we got on board to take a look at, because that's going to inform the decisions. You know, what can the dirt handle? What can you build on it? And all of those, and then what needs to be done to the ground to ensure that we can build the things that we want to build. And it also reduces costs. If you've already had a bunch of work done, well, then you aren't going to have to do that. You've already got it. And so that's another reason why you want to do your due diligence, to find out what is there. Because as Edie, I think you said earlier today, when you get to that scope development, you want to maximize your property. Every square foot, you should do the best you can to utilize it. And so knowing what's there is extremely important. Know what's on the surrounding properties, what's in the ground, what's in the air. What can you really find out, and then bring that to bear. Put that in the pile and then start to decide and start carving out what your scope is going to be. So in the scope development, working with PMSI and I keep referring to them here as the project management firm. The point of that is I just wanted this to look like a process, not so much talking about the folks that are a part of that process, but still. So we established the basic requirements for the school, the upper school, what was going to go into it, what do we need there, and then identify a rough layout of the entire property, athletic fields and other things to support all those wonderful things that Lindsay was talking about, both athletic and otherwise. And then to verify what were the regulatory requirements. Knowing up front what your permit requirements are going to be, what your rezoning requirements are going to be, is critical, because you may find out that something that you want to build is not possible or won't be permitted. You want to talk any further about the due diligence? Or
I don't know if we talk about site plan on the next
No,
slide,
I talked about it, the rough layout.
Yeah, so another term for this might be entitlements. You have to have an approved site plan before you can develop a set of detailed construction drawings for the building. And so that was one of the early things that we talked about, was we really need a site plan. So if we hadn't gone the route that we went with this project management firm, there could have been a design build approach. We talked about that early on. We'll talk about it in a few minutes and why we're not going that route. But the other way to do things would have been to hire a civil engineer, have them help develop the site plan, but often you need to work in conjunction with an architect because they're looking at the project from maybe a little different lens. But that site plan approval it's a critical milestone for any construction project. And so if you look on the back of your brochure, I know you've all probably seen the site plan by now, but that was the result of all of the work that's been put in here most recently.
I think there was seven different iterations, or 8, something like that. It wasn't just we'll just put this here. It was a lot of work to decide what could go where. Next slide, please. Okay, so next, now that we've figured out what we're going to do, now we got to find somebody to design it for us. And so this is where at one point we were going to do possibly a design build, which is discussed on the next slide as design bid build. We had a very short time frame. And so design build gets you there faster, but there's problems with it that are kind of smoothed out with a design bid build. And we'll talk about that also. This slide, I think we got management spelled right. Okay, good. The zoning and permitting, it turned out that was going to take a while. I'm skipping ahead. Designer. So we received proposals from 7 designers. So PMSI helped us to finalize our scope that we had with the layout and what you see in the brochure. And so then that was presented to several designers, and we did get proposals from 7. And they were selected. The one that was selected was based on they have a great deal of experience in designing specifically charter schools as well. Their fee was very reasonable. And I say that here, generally speaking, not to get too much into the procurement itself, but they were the low bidder and would have been the next lowest bidder after a couple other offerers revised their proposal. But really, their proposal and their presentation was a full package deal. It was by far the most robust, the most inclusive, and made the most sense. It was as Drew said, best value for the school and for us, for you, and really it was just the right choice. It just was obviously a head and shoulders above all the rest, even though it may not have been the absolute lowest price. But it was well within the industry standard. In fact, I think it's on the low end of what you typically pay for that type of service. Okay, so this is where that divergence between design bid and design bid build. You want to discuss that more here with the zoning permitting?
Apologies in advance if we have any design build contractors in the room.
Nothing against that concept.
So I spent the first 10 years of my career in a design build firm. And, it's a great approach when time is of the essence. Yeah. And when I stepped into the room with Edie and the rest of the group that first day, time was absolutely of the essence. And we were really focused on a design build approach. But there's a lot of potential for additional costs that wouldn't necessarily need to be expended in what I call a plan spec approach. Design, bid, build, being synonymous. I think as things progressed, we began to realize that there would be a little more time on the front end to get the full design put together, at which point we can go out to bid and get the best competitive price to build this facility at that time, whatever that time may be. I don't know if this is the right time to talk about it or not.
So the duration, so we ended up having we found out that the permitting and rezoning was going to take 6 months. So that's really was the push.
So the property needs to be rezoned to accommodate this new building, all of the parking, the traffic, everything that comes along with it. And that's a time-consuming process. And we realized that can take place concurrently with the design of the school, so that when it's all approved, we'll have a package ready to hit the street for proposals.
Yeah. So the design team made that decision based on what was happening. We had one plan, but it turned out that really, once we knew about the permitting taking a while that we had up there, and then the rezoning, it just made sense to go ahead and shift to a design bid build for the reasons we've already described. So we made that decision, and we're continuing on that path.
And just the other benefit to the plan spec approach is that you can design exactly what you want. Absolutely. And bid it. And with PMSI, knowing what these schools cost down to the acoustic ceiling tile, what is that going to cost per square foot if you put in this type versus the other type? What kind of flooring do you want? We can go in and through that design process and potentially do some value engineering during the detailed design, such that we're getting exactly what we want. If you go into a design build approach, you're often contracting with a site plan like what you have, maybe a few architectural elevations that show what the outside of the school looks like, an architectural floor plan. You'll have some detailed information, but the bulk of that contract is built around what I refer to as an outline specification. So that's the programming, or what do you want included. And so it leaves a lot of room for interpretation, and often that interpretation can be made to the benefit of the design builder. So in a design build approach, you've got a contract, some limited drawings, an outline specification, and a pile of money. And if you're the contractor, you can make some decisions, again, that would be more beneficial to the contractor than it would necessarily to the school. And that, I'm not trying to say that in a bad way. It's a reality. Yeah, different approach. I've lived it, and it's just the way some of those projects can go. So again, we're at this stage now. We've got a designer selected. I'm not sure if the contract's been executed yet. So yeah, we're off to the races.
So we did select the designer based on their experience and their proposal. We talked about that a little bit, and so now we're at the phase where we're talking about funding the project. I do want to talk a little bit about the process to kind of close this out to what construction will look like, and then maybe come back to that in the final presentation. So the other thing about the design build, in my experience, is you're running. You have 2 seconds to make a decision because the contractors just push. You won't have that with the design bid build. So speaking of it, work with the designer. We've talked about that. Project management firm will also assist, so PMSI will be a part of this process as well. The one with the 50 projects that they've done, 2 in Jacksonville. And then we'll get to select a builder based on best price. So you're going to have a builder that's going to compete. So you're going to hire a builder that has the best price, best experience. And so yet again, we get the opportunity to compete that work. And so I think, do I talk about that more? No, I don't. But I just make that clear that, so think about that. How many times have we competed? We competed once for our project management group, got the best experience, best value for the group twice. We've done it now for the designer, and we're going to do it a third time for the construction firm. So 3 times we've taken the opportunity to try to get the best value for CCA. And I think that's extremely important. Competition, that rules the day. You get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, one of the other things I like about the approach where we made sure to include this in the architectural design proposal and scope of work. They'll provide separate bid packages for the potential phasing of the project. So the first phase would be, all of the site work, site and civil work, utilities, anything underground, perhaps most of the paving, a lot of the paving, but think about all of that, horizontal and underground work being phase 1, and then with an option to build, I think, just the gym and then the school as well. So we'll have 3 separate bid packages if heaven forbid the funding is not there and we have to make some decisions to break this up into packages, then we've got that opportunity to do that as well.
Yep. So it adds even more flexibility to the overall process. Absolutely. So the final slide that we have, construction oversight, and this is what the future would hold. So once we were to complete the design and then get a builder on board, then during construction, PMSI, we talked about the experts in building charter schools. We talked about the designer. They also are experts. They will be overseeing the construction that is ongoing, and then the construction group themselves will be required to have a quality control plan that will be overseen and agreed upon by the CCA. So you're going to have those levels of oversight, making sure that they're doing exactly what we've designed with the group. Any change orders, of course, would have to be sent through CCA to agree. So if something happens, something's not right, or something needs to be added, that will be handled by the board, by the school. Nothing will be done in a vacuum. In the design build, that could be questionable of what the contractor may or may not do. Design bid build a little different. At least, debatable. But anyway, then closeout and warranty. I think that's also something that was CCA went through very painful with the current school of closing out. Those entities that we already described, they will be there to assist through the final warranty period, as well as all equipment and all the warranties that go along with that equipment will be handed off to CCA in an orderly way so that CCA can then take the full benefit of those warranted items and equipment and whatever else that comes with the school. So that it will all, instead of, you get a warranty on a piece of equipment, you don't get that warranty, then, you've lost out on the value of that long term. And so what we've built here, this infrastructure for this plan, will be guiding this through to that final completion. Anything further, Drew, on the last slide?
No, the one thing I will tell you, closeout's the hardest part of any construction project. So
it stinks.
It'll be a great day when we get to that point.
Yeah, punch lists and that's hard. That's all we had.
You know what? I think we should also recognize Bryce.
Yes.
Who I think has been, I don't know if he's here, but very, very helpful in the discovery phase and tracking down information from the previous property owner. So,
thank you, guys. I don't know if I can be that technical with you guys. I'm just going to give you a heads up. My man to be that technical. But if you don't know me, I'm Jason Trent. I'm the athletic director at the school. I also teach speech and debate, and I gotta say, before I say anything, it's such a pleasure to teach the students at Cornerstone. I've taught speech and debate for a number of years, and for the first time ever, with these 8th graders I'm teaching, I had them debating where your taxes and federal budget spending should go. And I was like, who am I teaching right now? And you should have heard them debating, going back and forth on federal dollars, and I was like, these kids are special. They really are. So it's really a pleasure for me to do that. I've been working in schools my entire life. I was interning in college at schools. I've always had a passion and a calling to work with youth. Growing up, I had several friends in my neighborhood, in my friend group, that ended up taking the wrong path, ending up in jail, dead, because they didn't have the right resources around them. They didn't have the right motivation, mentors, education, all of that stuff. So I knew it was my calling from a young age to work with students and youth and to do everything I could to get them to be successful and on the right path. And that's why I'm passionate about students, and I always will be. And being at Cornerstone has been one of the greatest experiences because of the support from the staff and the families. I've been at public schools, private schools, and now charter schools, and there's nothing like Cornerstone. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, and I really am blessed to be with a group that really wants to raise up the next generation. I mean, education's important. Athletics are important, but we're developing the next generation of leaders. You know, we're not churning out a graduation rate or a school grade. Like, we're investing in the students here to be the leaders that this world desperately, desperately needs. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here because you guys are diligent about where you put your students for education. Right? You're diligent about putting them in the right place with the right teachers, coaches, mentors, and all those things. So I know you guys are with me on all of that, all things Cornerstone. But I just wanted to talk real quickly about why this project is so important. And you guys know, you turn on the radio, the TV, social media, like, we are in a serious culture war. Like, we really, really are. And they are after the young generation. They are after the students. They are after this next generation of voting bloc to get what they need. And we are in the middle of a serious culture war. And really, it's a war for integrity. I mean, everything you see from songs to TVs to movies, it's a war on integrity from what the United States was founded to be and our values and all of those things. So the war has been waged on our students. And I've been working with them my entire life, and I can see it now more than ever. I mean, just think about the virtues that we have at Cornerstone. Okay, I'm gonna read them off, and you tell me what you've seen at all in society promoting these. We have respect, responsibility, courage, self-government, that's laughable, humility, perseverance, and integrity. None of these things are being pushed by society and culture. Exact opposite. So it's really up to us to get these things going. And why I feel so urgent and passionate about it is post-pandemic, post-COVID, we've seen the result of what's happened to these young people. I mean, these are numbers put out by the CDC. Keep that in mind. The CDC with their own motives. 18.8% of students considered suicide in 2020. 18.8. 9% actually took the step to try to commit suicide. 9% of students. I mean, I don't understand why there's not red flags, alarms going off around our students for these numbers. Like, we are focusing on the wrong things of the society if we're not looking at these numbers and trying to do everything we can to save our students. We have to do everything that we can. We really do. And these virtues, the ones I named off that Cornerstone's big on, are all those things to do. Critical thinking, that's the thing I try to teach in all my classes. Critical thinking, imagine that. It's a scarce resource nowadays. They want to tell you how to think, what to think, and what's right and wrong, and we know that's not the truth. I love this Spartan 300 campaign because it's like a perfect metaphor for what we're doing. I'm actually a big historian, especially like war historian, in the Battle of Thermopylae, one of my favorites to read about and to study, and about how the Persians under Xerxes were trying to secularize all of Europe and trying to invade all of Europe. And it came down to King Leonidas and the Spartans and those 300 soldiers that he took to hold that narrow coastal pass in Thermopylae. And if you think about what they were doing, trying to hold off this secularization of Europe, at insurmountable odds, 3 to 10,000 soldier ratio. And not only did they cripple the forces of the Persians, but they also stalled long enough so that Greece and Sparta could get all of their valuable resources out of the city. And it pretty much was one of the largest things to prevent Persians from taking over all of Europe. And they really sacrificed for the good they knew that they had to do. And the urgency in the metaphors, it's all there. I mean, we are doing the same thing. We are standing in the gap against the secularization of our kids. We really are. We're doing those same things. And we need funds. We need money for this project, but we need more than that. Like, we need everyone in this room to band together and to really fight together for our kids and for our students. I mean, we have to be ready to dig in and fight. I mean, the Spartans stand together, perfect metaphor. I mean, I love it. Like the Spartans and what they ran was called the phalanx formation. They would all stand in a formation, all tight together with their shields. They had like 8-foot spears, swords, and then they had on these shoes that pretty much, they invented cleats because they would put these spikes at the bottom of their shoes so they could dig into the ground and they could withhold charges and attacks from the enemy in a tight formation. And that's what this group here has to do. And some of you may be thinking like, oh man, you're kind of taking this hyperbole a little too far. Like we're not really at war. We are at war. We really are. I mean, I've worked in the trenches with these students. Drug use is up. Depression is up. Suicides are up. Like we're getting to a critical mass state. And it's time that we have to stand together as Spartans here in this room. Thank you. All right. I'm almost done. Okay. So look, I encourage, urgency is a big thing we have to really take into account. Like, I encourage all students that time is your most precious resource. We talk about that all the time. You can never get a day back. You can never get a second back. You got to take advantage of every second that you have. So our time to do this is now. We can't think this is someone else's fight. We can't think that someone else is going to take care of us. The next generation is going to take care of it, or Edie and the board are going to take care of it. Like, this is our battle that we have to fight here. And I love this whole plan because it's not just a gym, right? It's an epicenter for education, fine arts, athletics, student development. I mean, when you look at the layout, libraries, media centers, performing arts centers, science labs, weight rooms, dance rooms, classrooms, a space for pep rallies, graduations, dances, some of the best memories of when you're in school are all going to be in this facility. Leadership development is going to happen in this facility, and we need you guys to help us make it happen. We really do. You guys know that we care about this type of thing. We bring in speakers all the time for career days and FCAs and things like that because it's that important for our students to see what's happening and how to be leaders in the future. My dream and goal for the Cornerstone campus is to be a literal light to the world in a city on the hill that cannot be hidden. That's what I'm envisioning as the campus. So as long as I'm here and working here, I'm going to try to rally you all to fight against society telling our youth how to think, fight against society telling the youth to find their own truth, fighting against society telling our students that they're all alone when they're having these hardships and hard times, because they're not. So the students that hear me talk to them know I always end with a challenge. So that's what I'm going to do. I love challenges because it motivates me. I'm hyper competitive. I can't help it. I was born that way, but I love a good challenge. So I'm going to challenge you guys here to look introspectively. Look at yourself. How can we band together? How can we come together as a group, as Spartan families, and how can we get this done? Who can we reach out to? Who can we talk to? How can we work together as a united front to get this project done as soon as possible? Because we have urgency. We really do. Everyone here has been blessed with different gifts. Everyone's been blessed with different talents, and you either multiply them or you bury them in the sand. Those are the only options that you have with your gifts and talents. So that's my challenge to you guys. Edie's gonna come up and she's gonna finish out talking about the last part of this, but really this is our time, guys. And it's our challenge for our students. So I appreciate you guys letting me talk to you. I appreciate you letting me be a part of your student's life. And I hope you will ask us any questions you have at the end. Thank you.
Now you see why I drag Jason to everything I do. I am so grateful for Coach Trent. 10 years ago, I suckered him as a college student into teaching Sunday school class for my son because he didn't want to go to church anymore. And I was like, listen, you're a dude. We need dudes to come and keep these kids in church and raise them up. And my dude's right there. Say hi, Bubba. That's my son, Bubba. And he was not only the most influential person in my son Bubba's life, he was also a mentor, and he is now transitioned into a friend. They have a YouTube show. They do all kinds of fun things. They're both sports nuts. And I'm just so thankful that Coach Trent is doing what he's doing every day. And he has had so many opportunities to leave and to do great things all over the place. But he means what he says when he's not just trying to have this great sports program, and that's what people sometimes think, but he's trying to build these humans, these young people to be leaders, to have integrity and character. And there's nothing better to teach those things than on the field or on the court. Those moments when you're on a team and you're having to have a lost every football game last year type of year, to turn that around and to stay with it and to work hard and to be the first seed this year going into the championship. So let's give a clap to the football team. And it's not only the football, but Coach Trent has a strategy. You know, he's been in other schools before, and the strategy works. And he's and I'm telling you the difference between the way our teams operate on the field. I have parents coming over to me, what school is this? You guys are so great. They buried us into the ground the first year of sports, and they didn't even care. These other people, and they had no integrity. Coach Trent wants kids to play games. He wants to teach them respect. I hear what he says to the players, and I'm so grateful for his commitment and his sacrifice that he gives to our kids. He wasn't paid the first year as an athletic director. He was a full-time teacher. This year he's part-time, so he's investing every day because he means it. He is investing in the kids that will rule and run the entire world. So I believe that with all my heart. I also want to give a shout out to cross country. I know we have some cross country families here tonight. We are, yes, Orion. Our cross country team went to states, and our boys team won second place in the state for all charter schools in the state of Florida. Our volleyball team, they went to the playoffs. It was incredible. They made it to the playoffs. And y'all, this is fall sports. We haven't even started basketball. Where's Ross? Ross is our basketball coach. He's going to build a championship basketball program. And our baseball team, that's a whole nother level. We started last year, and Coach Trent's like, I'm just going to get some teams that are easy for our kids, this startup program. Our baseball coach calls Coach Trent and it's like, you're going to have to schedule some harder games. Because we apparently got all the ringers from every club team that go randomly to our school, and we were beating teams like Episcopal and other schools. So stay tuned because the Spartans are on the rise. I want to recognize our board members. We have Sally and Albert and Joe Beth, and we have David Wood. We have Chris Engel in the back, and our principal, Omen, and our assistant principal in the back, Ed Ball. And Bryce wanted to be here. He has a little baby they have sickness, so he came in. He's like, should I bring him? I'm like, it's okay. You're with us in spirit. But I have to say something about the building team. I am so grateful for them. I have driven them absolutely crazy. I have called them. I have texted them. I have harassed them on vacations in the Bahamas. I'm so sorry, you guys. He was on vacation last week. I'm like, Drew, quit ghosting us. I'm sending them all the ghosting emojis. But they are so passionate about this project and have guided us through this very complicated process. And I'm so grateful for all that they've done. And I'm sorry that I've really been annoying through the whole process. I also want to thank you guys. I know Lindsay already talked about the fact that you took a chance and you came to Cornerstone, but I want to thank you for coming here tonight because Halloween was yesterday and we all ate too much candy and we all need a nap. So I just want to say thank you for being here because you guys are the ones that care. You are the ones that are going to help us move this school forward into the next phase. So the way we've broken this up is the first phase of the Spartan 300 members. We have several of them here that we had no plans. We just wanted to build a building and we had a whole list. They're in your brochure. If you don't have a brochure, you can raise your hand. We have wonderful students. Our cheerleaders are in the back, which they won second place in a championship last year. They're only getting started too. And we have 81 junior cheerleaders. So pray for our cheer coach. So in our brochure, we have incredible community members and CCA families that have donated. And so I want to wave at the Harpers and the Hellers. I saw some other people in here, the Salvadors. I just want to say thank you for taking a real leap of faith with no information. That's how much they care about the cause of Cornerstone. We're here because the world is falling apart. People are losing their minds. And we are the people in this room that are standing up for the next generation. I have a unique story because I have never had a job in my life. I have always had a call and a mission my entire adult life. And so I'm not gonna cry as much as Lindsay, I hope. But I wanna thank my husband, Dan. Wave, Dan. Nobody knows I have a husband, but there he is right there. Dan has stuck with me for almost 30 years of supporting my mission and my call. Because when you have a mission and a call, you don't make any money like ever. You're like working for free for all the causes. And so he has allowed me to always work in a mission-oriented job. So before I came to CCA, I had the most wonderful run of building a college prep high school, building a debt-free gymnasium, helping acquire a preschool with 6 lots for expansion, and I worked with the most amazing people ever. And we went into pandemic, we have 2 campuses. It was a very low point during pandemic for me. At that time, I drive an hour out of town, kind of annoyed because it's in Palencia, and I'm like, I shouldn't go, I'll go. Unbeknownst to me, Lindsay was supposed to be there. Lindsay didn't go. And I've always known Lindsay since she was a child. She was at my previous school when she was little. And the crazy thing is 25 years ago, we had shows in our CCA building when I was her youth leader. So we have a whole lifetime of history together. So randomly, I knew she started a school vaguely because of social media. We go to this luncheon, our director, Engel was at the table with us. And so we're sitting there together and she starts telling me about her school. She's like, just come see the school. And I was like, I'll come see the school. And of course I walk in and I'm like, this is amazing. They had a few problems going on, just a few things. And she was like, you need to come here. And I was like, I don't know, Lindsay, I'll help you. I love you, blah, blah, blah. No, you got to come here. And she's like a bulldog. She just doesn't back down. So I made a decision to come to Cornerstone and to offer anything that I had for the cause because I love this country. I wanted to go into politics for a very brief moment, and then I was like, I'm gonna be in jail if I go into politics. So I pulled away from that, but I was changed on September 11th. I turned into a person that loved and valued this country, and I dedicated my life to raising my kids. Bless their hearts, they watched every year when they were babies, footage of all the terrible things that happened where my husband was like, don't show our 5 kids this anymore. I'm tired of them crying all the time. But I told Dan, it's written on my kids' wall at the home, we will never forget what happened to our great nation. And so that was what happened to me and when that whole terrible tragedy happened. And I'm here tonight because I want to be a part of saving the country. And we don't say that to be cute. We say that because our country is being swiped out from under us, and they're doing it through our children. And that's what Cornerstone was started because of. Is because we want to start with our 4-year-olds now, all 54 of them, and we want to teach those 4-year-olds how wonderful this country is and what a privilege and an honor it is to be in this country and the reasons it was started by our founding fathers. We are the ones that can preserve that for the next generation. Yes. So when I came to Cornerstone, I decided at the last minute to bring my son. And he was so angry with me. He loved his school, he loved sports, he loved all the things that he was a part of. And I was like, I have to do this because this is gonna be an amazing experience for him to have this level of education. 2 weeks in, we're leaving school one day and he says in the car, Mom, this is a really great school. These kids are really nice and I like it. And I just start crying and I'm like, thank God. But I promised him that I would work, that his mom would make a gym for him because we already made one. I said, we're gonna make another gym. We're gonna build this school. We're gonna build athletics. And that is what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a school for our kids. We're gonna have a gym because we need it, because we're doing something very, very special. And I'm here tonight to tell you that I can't do it myself. The board can't do it themselves. But look around this room. This is a force to be reckoned with in here. We can stand up, we can pull together, and it's gonna be a really easy ask tonight. I have 3 things to ask you. There's probably 2 on this card, but I have 3 things. The first thing is if you have the capacity to give, now's the time. When I was the first Spartan 300 member. I sacrificially give every month. I have 5 kids. We literally have no money, okay? They're all in college. They're all expensive. I don't even want to tell you what our 6 cars insurance amount is per month. We are sacrificially give because that's how much this project means to me and my family, because I know it's going to last way beyond me. We're going to put roots in the ground. That building's going to come up, and it's going to have a legacy. We are building a legacy for the next generation, and we can all do it together. So how can you help? If you can give, give. We have cards, fill them out, turn them in, drop them at the school office. Secondly, I need people. If you have the capacity to network, to bring donors in, to do tours, to help get grants, we want a gala, we want a golf tournament. Everybody can do something. If you call CC home, everybody can do something. This is very personal for me. I have an 8th grader. There is nobody more motivated than me, because I want every greatest teacher in the city for my kid. So it's selfish. This is a whole selfish project for my kid. I want dual enrollment teachers. I'm already stalking them right now and begging them to take pay cuts to come to Cornerstone. We're getting the best coaches. Me and Coach Trent have been in athletics for 10 years together. We're stalking all the best coaches for all the things, and you can help us. So now's the time. This night is a call to action for us to get up, to quit being skeptical, and quit. I don't know if they're gonna have a high school. We're having a high school, okay? We're having a high school. Because if I take Eddie to another high school, I'm done, okay? So I'm highly motivated, and it's time for us to go to work. So tonight, take your pledge card, join a fundraising team with me, start calling every single person. I talk to everybody. I'm the one at Jarbo Park with Brody and Eddie waiting for an hour and a half by Trevor Lawrence's car because I want to put his name on my building, okay? So when I say I'm going after people, I'm not being cute. I'm being serious. So every single person here, rack your brain. Who do you know that loves kids? Who do you know that has money that they want to leave to a school? Think about it. Network. I will give 1,000 tours any day of the week, day and night. If you know me, you know that's true. I've been there on Saturdays. I'll do anything to tell the story of Cornerstone, because I don't think it's an accident that any of us are here. We are Spartans on purpose. So that's it for tonight. But we are just getting started. So the building team and myself and the board, we're all here. Please come talk to us. Ask all your questions. We do have a football meeting in about 10 minutes. Where's our football coach? I can't see good. There's Blake Barnes. I want to introduce him. He's going to be our high school football coach. He graduated from the wonderful University of Georgia. And so he's going to tell you our future development for our whole program. So thank you for coming. I appreciate every single one of you. And I'll stay here till midnight to answer every question that you have. Thank you.